Hi, this is Wisconsin DIY Man. Please check out my second video in the series. It's a 2018 fall walkthrough. You'll see as I walked around the garage this way, the amount of water standing was pretty crazy. So in Wisconsin, 2018, we hit some rain numbers that I have never seen in my life. I'm 52 years old, and that rain continued into 2019. When I took that video in the fall, I was taking it because Apple Drains and French Drain Man on YouTube had said videotape your problem in case you need to hire a professional. And so I did that. I just wanted, if I had to hire anyone, I wanted to show them how bad that was. After I got some estimates, I just decided to do it myself. It was um, high. So what I feared was the ground here was so wet and the water table it was literally above the surface of the grass in some places. I feared about frost heave. And I decided then in the fall to start learning how to take the drainage system to the next level with techniques beyond that I've been using since the early 90s in my other houses. I watched over 500 videos from Apple Drains, French Drain Man, and a few others all winter, like B&B drainage. I know it, 500. I know seriously, I'm kind of I don't know anal retentive about that, but I wanted to do it right and not have to redo it. I went back and forth a lot of times between a gravity system versus a sump. Uh, but then what I do is I ran a few line levels around here. I tried to figure out what kind of drop I got from here to there to there to the culvert and so forth. And when I did all the math, I was dealing with just inches, like 7 inches from here to there, 12 inches from here to there. So I had maybe from this corner of the garage to here where I wanted to hit the culvert was only 20 inches, and the minimum usable depth of a French drain is 12, and I wanted to run it out through here and back to the garage. It's just there was nothing to drop it to, so I gave up trying to figure out that, and I went with a sump system. So because I'm in Wisconsin, super duper cold. At that point, I started concentrating more on the French Drain Man techniques because he's from Michigan and he builds things for freeze protection. So in the winter of 1819, or 2018-19, we hit negative 28 for 2 days in a row. Um, by February and March, my slab was so frost heave I couldn't close the side door over here. Uh, my plan was to start digging as soon as the ground was thawed. I originally came up with an estimate for $3,500. I was going to do a bunch of work around the house too. Uh, my plan around there was to bury the downspouts and a bunch of other work. So $3,500 ended up not even coming close. And because the ground was so incredibly wet here, I went with the house first, just because it's drier up there. There's a feet and feet and feet of fall between the house and the garage. At least the ground here was dry in April, or dry enough to dig by hand. So as soon as the snow melted, I think literally I started around April 6th or 7th, something like that. This is just a shot of my garage here, or the driveway in front of my lower garage, and this is pretty much how it looked all the time. Really, with since 2018, we haven't had a lot of break in the rain. Here's another view of the property, and you can see the fall from the house to the lower garage there. I am literally the lowest point in the whole area before you get to the creek right here. So this garage is actually lower than the street here. I have no clue. They could have fixed this so easily by bringing in a ton of fill and building the garage up about 4 feet so it was higher than the road. It- so yeah, it's a floating slab and it was sinking. So I actually had curvature on the slab because it was sinking in the areas that were so wet. throughout June, the water table down by the lower garage here was within 4 to 6 inches of the surface. And I also couldn't just dig a French drain around this garage. You just can't dig a trench that's deeper than your floating slab. Then you have a garage that's sitting on a pillar of mud. Well, guess what's going to happen? That thing sinks down. So for this phase of drainage, I also had to figure out foundation repair. I got some estimates to do this foundation supporting, or whatever you want to call it. I got foam guys that gave me an $8,000 estimate to inject 2 inches of foam into about 40 holes, and that would raise the whole garage 2 inches and support it. The thing is, it's still sitting on mud, and I calculated. I just figured it's just going to keep sinking anyway because I had some foam done up here, and the slab sunk right back down on the foam. It didn't really do much. I had a basement waterproofing specialist come out, and they also did steel helical piers. They had to drill 20 to 40 holes in the garage or something, 18, I can't remember. Or no, 35, 35, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a 24 by 30 garage, 32 holes or piers. That was going to be $35,000. So those piers go all the way down. They can go like 20, 40, 60 feet until they hit something solid, and it holds up the slab. So I can't remember. Oh, building an entirely new garage, that was going to be 25,000. I could have done that, rip the whole dang thing down, bring it up 3 to 4 feet with fill, and then build a garage on that new great surface. I have a workshop in there. I put a lot of work into that. And that was a lot of money. I figured I could beat that price by quite a bit. So what I did here, let's start with the house. So April 6th, I start digging. The first problem was the gutter that I added right here was dumping a ton of water for 4 or 5 years. This thing was just heaving water onto the driveway. It got into the sump system. My sump output is right here. In the winter, it would create a ton of ice. So right where we walk into the house, we'd always have a ton of ice. That was a pain. But so that was the first thing: is bury this guy and get it out of there. Let's go to the rear view of the house. The rear of the house here stopped flooding after I put that swale in, but on the gutters would still plug up though, and there's a few waterfalls that occurred over here in a heavy rain. I usually didn't catch them because I was usually at work. We were usually sleeping or something like that, but it never got the basement wet. But all I had was rock mulch back here. It was a chunky dirt area here. I figured I want to spruce it up, and as long as I'm doing it, I'm going to put in a small, short French drain here, and I just tied in all the gutter downspouts with it. So I used a combination of solid. I'll get to that later about solid and corrugated pipe, how I did that. Let's go to, what am I going to here? Oh, yeah, yeah. So last winter, we also had terrible ice dams. Uh, I had ice dams in all my north valleys. So this valley and the valley over here on that side, terrible ice dams. So I wanted to gutter guard all these guys, all the gutters, and I wanted to put in heating cables. I hated the idea of heating cables, and I know they don't last forever, but I kind of felt at a loss here. They had a brand new roof, and it still leaked because of the ice dams. We had like a foot of ice in this corner here. And I sat there chipping away at it with with calcium chloride to try to get rid of it. It was a pain. Uh, let's take a look at the whole plan here. So um, this is phase two to start April 2019. Here's all my downspouts. The plan was to bury all these guys and come out through a pop-up. I used NDS because we have a Menards close. I didn't go with Polylock or anything like that, or the Boffman tile from French Drain Man, because I don't think he sold that stuff at the time. I can't remember. And Menards is like half a mile from my house. It's pretty easy to pick up that junk. I did some short French drains. I did a French drain in the back corner here. Did a short French drain on the brick by the brick patio. And that I didn't really think I needed it, but I just put it in there for the heck of it, just in case there's big rain events that by the deck here that get under there and flood. I just wanted to take care of that. Um, there's a French drain here along the driveway because there's always a ton of like I get a ton of water here going into that downspout and this downspout, and I get a ton of water just hitting this driveway and going this way. A lot of it would dam up right here and it'd make a sump which sits right here or run a ton. So I ran a sump output right here. It ties up with a solid and comes out the pop-up. The French drain system here, this is the corrugated pipe, and I have solid side by side. For all the pipe that goes under the cement and this pipe out to there, I use dual wall 4-inch. So Menards, at least here in Madison, Wisconsin, they sell pipe made in Illinois. I think it's Illinois. It's Prinsco brand. It's pretty good stuff. I have a super hard time crushing this stuff. I was happy. What else? I fixed up this swale again. It needed some more work over here. The plan was to, my neighbor's swale right here, my plan was to take an excavator and start digging here and continue it. My plan was to build a berm here to stop all the water from this hill flowing into my yard. I wanted the water to go this way through the swamp and then out the culvert right here. The other plan was to build a 12-inch deep uh, French drain right here, make a curve, come into a sump pit here, and then have a sump exit there. And then I wanted to build, so this took forever to figure out how deep, but I figured let's go deep or go home. I went with a 24-inch deep French drain around the garage here. But to do that, I had to pier the foundation. That was super fun. And then the two downspouts on the garage were here and there. I picked them up in this solid pipe here. And so all that goes into the sump pit. The outer French drain, the inner French drain, and the solid pipe for the downspouts, all into a 6-foot deep sump pit. And I bought the same exact one that French drain uses from Menards. It's like $600 or something. There's a lot. And I used a very fast pump. So that was the plan. And then I had to build this output of the culvert right here. It was actually dammed up right here because of these trees. I wanted to take an excavator and just deepen it and make a nice little rock stream. And I actually ended up making a really nice rock stream back here. I figured once I dug the swale, it looked stupid. It was just all full of roots and dirt and all that junk. So I made it look nice. That took forever. So let's go to the next plan. So once I got all done, what I had to do was kind of pretty it up. So one of my faults with projects is I'm always doing technical things for projects that function, but they don't look that great. So what I wanted to do is rock mulch this whole area and make a flagstone sidewalk. I wanted to make a sidewalk from here to there, and then I wanted to make a sidewalk to the brick patio over here. I wanted to make this a decorative French drain here. The French drain around the garage, I wanted to decorate up a bit too with rock mulch and I wanted a little sidewalk. I have a door right here. I wanted to get a sidewalk there. And then I had to regrade this whole area. I regraded this to flow into the French drain, and then I regraded all this stuff to flow this way. And I had to reseed because I tried that technique that French drain man does, where you got one guy on the skid steer and one guy in the excavator, and they work together and all that junk. My my brother and I tried it, and it's like, no, it's not going to work. The excavator could move way faster than one amateur on a skid steer. You really need two professionals on a skid steer to keep up with a guy in an excavator. So I ended up dumping the dirt all over the place, and it looked like a bomb went off. There were some times where I just could not believe the amount of mess I made. So let's move on. I'm just showing you a bit here now. This is in the back corner of the house, what it used to look like. And my old black pipe from the phase 1 project in 14. I just mulched with leaves. It's really not fancy at all. So this is looking out that back area too. This is the swale I had cut before. It had been this high, so it was pretty much a dam. Um, I'm starting in the front of the house here now. What I'm doing is I'm burying that new downspout. I started to cut the driveway. I had to make a corner, and I'm not very good at cutting, so it widened out. I had to widen out it a bit because I had a hard time prying those pieces out that were on an angle. And you can see I cut more here. I'm starting to dig the French drain over here. And this is like April 7th or 8th or something like that. I think what is it? Oh, April 14th. This is just days. This is the first weekend after our last snow had melted. And I started by not renting anything. And I knew I'd have to rent a trencher, excavator, skid steers, all that junk later. But for this one French drain, I just started out by hand. And that way, when you do it by hand, uh, well, I was getting in shape a little bit, but I could keep mess to a minimum because every bit of dirt I picked up went straight to the wheelbarrow. So now let's keep going. So I just kept digging. It took forever because I was out of shape. I'm an office worker. Yeah, it was brutal. And every night I'd do another 3 to 6 feet. It was pretty hard digging because it was full of packed down paver base. So here's the French drain. I had to do it wide enough to accept two 4-inch corrugated pipes. One was the solid, one was the corrugated. And I start to lay the fabric out. I bought this fabric on Amazon, and I know there's probably better fabrics out there, but it seemed pretty strong. It seems to work. Um, I liked it. I couldn't rip it too easily at all. So, oh, and there's all the cement I pulled out of that trench here. So, just another picture of the digging. I got the dual wall laid in there then, and I actually put a little gravel around the dual wall to act as a like a spacer. So if there is water under here, it had a place to go. It can flow this way and off into the French drain. Just a little bit of gravel it was, just enough to make sure water could flow. And there's more patching up that here. And then I got the French drain all laid, the solid, the corrugated. I ran the corrugated up through here to the house too. Uh, and then I put just rock mulch on it. And I have a line of bricks right here too. Those are all reused that I had found, or I just had them laying around. So that's how it looks. Nothing fancy. And I started in ordering materials for the lower garage project. There's a pic of the downspout there I picked up. This is all from Menards. Another shot of the French drain. No, I started by buying rock mulch in bags. That was a mistake. You gotta go through way. I hated throwing away all that plastic, so I started ordering everything in bulk at that point. It was so much easier just having a truck come and drop the stuff there for you, and you had to do no lifting or nothing to get it there. So cement's dried. Another shot of the upper French drain here. The solid comes out right here. This is picking up stuff at Menards. I used a minivan. I don't have a pickup anymore. Here's my first heavy rain in April, and that was my pop-up from that French drain. So it was working. I was happy to see it. Good deal. I have some pictures out of order here, but this is where I started digging out the line. Another shot of how that line comes into the trench here. It's all cleaned up now. Um, Out to the driveway there. Now here's the French drain I dug on the back of the house by the brick patio. I don't if you remember back to those overhead pictures. So this part is going to be a French drain. Then I put a catch basket here. I tried two techniques with downspouts. On some downspouts, I shot them straight into the 4-inch. Others, I would come out and I go into a catch basin. And I know everyone on the internet had their own techniques about doing that. I just wanted to try it two different ways and see which way works better. And if one way is a total bust, I'll just change them out and go with the one way that works. So in this from here, this is like 8 feet of French drain here. Once the catch basket picks up this stuff. It's all solid, and then they just dumped it out into the yard here. Here's building that short section of French drain, and I did like a blind inlet, if you want to call it, here, according to the French drain man guy. My catch basket, 12-incher, started filling it up with rock and the perforated and the solid out to the yard. Blind inlet here. It was drilled so that water, anything coming off a downspout or rain or whatever, the slope from my regrading 4 or 5 years ago here would push the water to here. That had a place to go. So started filling it up more. It's running pipe out there, the solid, and then I got it all buried. Here's the catch basin here. Put the brick back and started filling in the trench there. That's the lower garage that came next. So here's how the downspout went into the catch basin. I put a little rock around there. I didn't know what to do. I am not a designer. So now here's the brick patio again. So I had just finished this pipe here and I started figuring out what the heck I want to do here. I had downspouts everywhere. I had a downspout here. I had a downspout over here. And then, so we'll get into that, what I did with that. Here's another one in the backyard. I tried the catch basin technique here. I ran the downspout to there, drops into the catch basin, boom, 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 and through the NDS pop-up right there. Here's the brick patio again. This is the way it used to look here. I wanted that all to look pretty when I was done. Here's another one I did, the catch basin technique. Oh, here's this coming from the other side. Here's looking the same one that in the south side of the yard there. There's another view of it there. I just took a picture of the front for the hell of it. Again, you can see how much roof I have. It's crazy. Working in the back of the house, it was just a mess. I had rocks all over the place. I'm a hoarder, not a hoarder, but you know what? So every time I do a yard project, I save my rocks. So I had piles of rocks like this everywhere. Well, for doing the rock stream, that actually turned out to be a good idea because I used them all. So I start here. Oh, here's the side and my sump output right here. This is the northeast corner of the house. What I did is I tied that in with a solid from the downspout. This downspout I ran straight into the 4-inch. And at the end of each downspout, so here's like everybody on the internet did a different thing. They would say drill holes in the bottom of the U or the elbow where the pop-up is so it can drain somewhere. Well, I went overboard. I took my hole digger. I had a gas hole digger. I dug like a 2-3 foot hole. I filled it up with rock, the burrito wrapped rock with filter fabric, and I created a mini dry well for those pop-ups so they will always drain, always have a place to go, and won't freeze up. That's the theory. We'll see how that works. Here's another shot. Like here's a downspout. This is the back corner of the house. This is the place where 4 years ago I had to do a swale. Um, I tried a different couple digging techniques too. This one I actually cut the sod out by hand and I put it back, and that turned out to be the best way. On other ones I didn't run a sod cutter, and I probably should have. It would have been a lot easier versus ripping up the turf and then trying to replant it. So if I ever do this again, I'm always going to remove sod, do your trenching work, fill it, and then put the sod back. It grows back. It's the quickest grow back, and it gets hidden really quick. Here's more work in the back of the yard. I have the French drain dug out here. I actually am using a trencher now. I have a 24 horse riding mower also with a Sears trailer. That thing is awesome. It's like that was my wheelbarrow for most of the project. I use manual wheelbarrows too. I like 3 of those, but this hauled a lot of dirt, a lot of rock. I used a trencher to dig this, and to do a 12-inch wide trench, all I did is hop it back and forth. I just took the trencher and kind of did that, and a quick way to get a French drain in there. And then I tied in this downspout here that comes through here. They all connect here and go out into the yard. So this is that slab of cement that used to it was hollow under there 5 years ago when we moved into the house. Another shot of the backyard where I have this downspout and that downspout coming together, the French drain here, and the output is another little dry well right there. Another shot of the French drain in the back of the house there. My rock mulch here is the stuff I had to remove and put back 5, 6 years ago. Another shot of this pipe here. I did tape all the seams so they don't get roots in there. I use that PVC pipe tape that you get. And French Drain Man talks about that a lot. And another trench here. This is back by the brick patio. Just another shot of the little the dry well there. Oh, this is the backyard one. This is prior to putting in the drain basin. I'm a little out of order, but whatever. What are you going to do? This is one of the ones in the front of the house by the garage. It's just a simple downspout into black pipe. No drain basin on this one, and I come out a pop-up right here. Here's the other side of the front of the garage, another downspout. It's going to go straight into the pipe. Boom, 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 boom. There's a little mini drywall right here and a pop-up. Here's the trencher I ordered or rented. It's a lot different. The trenchers today are amazing. Last time I ordered a trencher was early 90s, and they were half the weight and twice the power. Now it seems they are twice the weight and half the power, but they do twice the work. It's pretty cool. Another shot. So now that I got the French drain, this is the back of the house, the back corner door there. I got that little short 15-foot, 20-foot French drain all covered up and burrito wrapped. Now I had to start figuring out what to do. So I started emailing photos of the area to the creative people in my life I know, and they would start drawing these things and sending them back to me with ideas what to do. I went through a lot of different permutations. I'm starting to stock up materials here for the rest of the project and my front driveway. Went through more ideas with that French drain. So what I did is set a lot of flagstone path. I covered the French drain or the whole area in black landscape fabric and then started putting in rock mulch. Bought about $500 worth of flagstone and started building. And I got a lot of help doing that. So this is the area. The French drain is here. That downspout there, I just let it drop right in the French drain. I didn't put any pipe on there. This downspout comes into the black pipe and meets up with it out here. You saw that in other pictures. So I think it looks okay. And then I found a construction site nearby that was had a big old pile of fill, and they just had rocks laying all over. I went and bought these. I didn't buy them. I just went and picked these rocks up there, and I laid out stone all the way out to the brick patio here. Another shot there. I got little neat stones there. I'm not very creative, so whatever. I oh, and the old stone doesn't meet up with the new stone, but I figure someday it'll match. So we'll see what happens. More pretty rocks, pretty cool stuff. And we put more stone out this way, and we line that whole area with rocks I found either in my yard throughout the digging or elsewhere in that fill site that I went to. Yeah, I would gather the rocks and I'd pressure spray them off, and I'd try to figure out what the heck to do with them. So I think that's about it for the house project. You've seen the trenching I've done here, here, the French drain there, the French drain back here. You've seen the brick patio here. That's pretty much it. So thanks for watching, and there will be more videos on other aspects of this project.